I got to say, Halsey was good as well. Did you not think?
I didn't think she was very good. Her accent was crazy.
Not as
What
crazy
was
as
that?
Lily Collins. Okay, we're talking about Maxine. My name is Phil. We are Boys on Film. Welcome back. If you're a regular, we have our regular host, who is the host with the most. And that is now with an English accent, because of course he's across the pond, but today he's all a bit posh. It's Matt from Microfilm. Are you doing it all in an
Hello.
English accent today? That's what you suggested.
I'm doing it in an English accent, am I? No, I'm not doing that.
I've got a little tidbit for you, a little bit of information, which might be useless information. Mia Goth, of course, is the star of Maxine, one of the stars of Maxine. Right. She was born just up the road from me.
How would you describe her accent?
Posh British American. Because I haven't really seen that many interviews, to be honest. But when she's performing in a film, she's quite posh.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But sometimes not. She's a chameleon.
She is.
And she does a good American accent.
Yeah. So this is an American horror film written, directed, produced and edited by Ty West. It's the third instalment in his X film series. It follows X and Pearl. Both came out in 2022 or 2022. Actually, that's really annoying when people say 2024 or 22. It's like 2022. It serves as a direct sequel to those two films. So this is going to be a really interesting chat, I think, because Mia Goth, obviously, she, once again is taking on her role as Maxine Minx. But the previous films, I think, and we were talking about this briefly before we started recording, they're kind of different in tone, aren't they?
Yeah, the first one acts as very kind of 70s exploitation, kind of slasher film. Pearl is more, I don't know, describe it, like historical, psychological thriller, kind of.
Yeah, Pearl gives me kind of Wizard of Oz vibes, but dark, like even darker than some of the dark bits of Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
it's got that kind of Technicolor feel, isn't it?
Yeah, and then Maxine is more of an 80s direct-to-video,
schlocky,
dirty kind of like action thriller.
Maxine, I wouldn't say was necessarily the scariest of the three. I think X is probably the scariest. Pearl has a lot of kind of gruesome kills in it, so it's still horror, but I would say Maxine is the least horror out of the three.
I agree. It's almost not really horror.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more kind of action thriller when you think of like 80s like Death Wish or something, where it's not really a horror movie, it's more just like a dark, gritty thriller with horrific kills in it.
Yeah,
Do you know what
definitely.
I mean?
Yeah, because X I found really strange and creepy, almost like that kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe, set in the 70s, and it had that kind of grubby feel. Pearl, fantastic, cinematically lavish and nostalgic and really well made. I think all his films are well made, but Maxine, again, something different. But I don't think you've got the same thing with each film, even though there is a thread, and even though that they're all Ty West films. I think it's something a little bit different, and I think it would appeal to people that don't like horror necessarily. I mean, it's got a couple of gnarly kills in it.
If you don't like horror, it's probably the one of the three that you should watch. So it's a note for Sean.
Yeah, Sean, if you're watching, come and tell us what you think. So in this film, Maxine sets out for fame and success in the 80s in Hollywood, while being targeted by a mysterious killer. And we've got Kevin Bacon in this as well. I mean, it's a great cast. There's some really good people in this. Elizabeth Debicki, is it? Moses Sumney as well. Michelle Monaghan. Halsey's in it as well, singer Halsey. Lily Collins is the daughter of Phil Collins, with a really strange accent, which is meant to be a northern UK accent, but it goes around all over the place. I don't know if you noticed that. I mean, being American, you probably didn't pick up on that as much as I did.
I don't even remember what character she played.
She was in the Winnebago, whilst they're filming, she goes and...
Oh yeah, she has a very small part in the...
Yeah, she's like one of the actors on the set that Maxine's working on. So let's talk about Ty West, who's obviously the main man, isn't he? I mean, he's done so many roles in this. I'm a big fan of his. 10 years younger than me. He's 43, but it seems that he knows so much about the films, or the kind of films that I grew up watching. I mean, he's got that real interest in a lot of 70s horror and 80s horror. I mean, I don't know if you've seen House of the Devil, which I thought was brilliant. And also, it stars one of the big directors now, the director of Barbie.
Yeah, Greta Gerwig. She's the co-star of the film. Yeah, that was the first thing I ever saw. Maybe that was the first feature he ever did, and that was absolutely excellent. I really loved it. It really had the vibe of a gritty late 70s, early 80s, like nasty kind of horror, thriller, demonic kind of vibe.
It's weird because I remember seeing this years ago, probably just after it came out, and I was completely won over by it, and I didn't know that it was a fairly recent film. I actually thought it was a film from that period because I had no idea. I mean, I didn't know Ty West at the time, and I thought it was really authentic, a really well-made film.
That's probably part of his plan, was to kind of have such a feel and look and vibe of that kind of film. You almost think it's some lost artifact from that era that someone found and re-released. Yeah.
Also good was The Innkeepers. Did you see The Innkeepers?
Yeah, I didn't like it as much as House of the Devil. I don't think it was as good, but it was still on the same path. And then I think he took a kind of a big break and then finally did X after some time doing other things that weren't very kind of large or well known.
Yeah.
And he's probably prepping this 3-film trilogy that like took a long time to kind of orchestrate the entire kind of outline where it connects all the 3 films together. That's probably was quite a plan to kind of organize.
And he directed a pop video recently, Justin Timberlake's No Angels video. Have you seen that? It's got his look about it.
No,
I mean, I'm not interested in just his work, but I was quite keen on seeing it just because it's Ty West. So, story-wise, quite an interesting story. Is it original?
It's kind of like, well, with lots of Ty West things, it seems to be a mix of a bunch of things he grew up loving, and he kind of does a mashup of them together. So it's a little bit kind of like sexy, erotic thriller meets slasher movie meets like serial killer film meets like devil worship film, kind of all like mixed together.
It definitely keeps you engaged. Mia Goth's character in this film is less intense than before.
She's like a woman with a mission, and she kind of just keeps her head down and just like moves straight forward through the entire film and not getting flustered by people kind of coming for her. She kind of can bat them away really easily. And that's probably on purpose. She's supposed to be this like woman who's had this mission for years to get to Hollywood, be a star, and not let anything get in her way. And she kind of just knocks people out of the way who try and kind of suppress her dream, right?
I mean, again, great that her role is different to the previous 2 films in this series, but I was a little bit disappointed because I thought we were going to have this maniacal, crazy woman, like we've seen before. And of course, in Pearl, she does that final shot where she's just completely cuckoo, and it's just captivating. In this, she's still captivating, but it's a different energy. And I was a little bit disappointed that there wasn't that full-on craziness.
Yeah, I kind of understood what he was doing with the character, but it didn't make it particularly as fun as it could have been, because I was expecting like over the top. Well, I guess it was coming off of something like her in Infinity Pool, where she was just over the top and screaming and kind of like in your face, and this was a little bit restrained.
She's hilarious in that film. I mean, I love that too, that film. I mean, you liked it, right? I think we reviewed it, didn't we?
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's that scene where she's on the bonnet of that car with a bottle of wine or whiskey or something, and she's just hella abusive. Okay, let's talk about the scariness or the gore in this, because there are some gory moments. I mean, one scene in this had me wincing. You should never mess with Maxine. I mean, she once squished someone's head. I think that's what she said. I once squished someone's head. And then you find out she wasn't talking about...
I saw it in the theater, and that was the first... Because it's kind of towards the beginning of the film, and that was one of the first crowd, like, group laughs / screams.
Kevin Bacon discuss. Are you a fan of his? Have you enjoyed his films before? I mean, the only thing I can think of is Footloose. I know he's done so many other films, but I'm going way back.
He's less of a leading man now, and he's more of a character actor, and I think that's a lot more interesting for him now as an older man. He's not trying to be some kind of like heartthrob or something. He's just straight up character actor playing this kind of creepy, sleazy private investigator in the film. He does a really great job of it. I mean, he's been acting for 40 plus years, 50 years. Like,
Yeah.
he should be good, you know what I mean? And he is really good. He's one of the better kind of aspects of this film, I think.
Yeah, and also he's quite an evil character as well. I mean, you know, we talked about Maxine's kind of maniacal nature in previous films. She's less so in this, but Kevin Bacon kind of takes that drama, really, doesn't he? He takes that energy that she had before.
Do you want to talk about the ending of the film?
Yeah,
that's the part where it finally becomes more of a horror movie and less of like a action thriller kind of movie.
The last act disappointed me again slightly. Did it wrap it up well for you? Because I feel like there should be more. I don't know whether it's concluded everything satisfactorily. Is that the right word? Satisfactorily?
Yeah, that's the right word. I think it did, in the fact that from the first film, from X, you kind of realize that her father is an evil character, right? Kind of running through her life. And he reappears in this film. He's kind of the secret main villain. And they have a, face off at the end. And she goes back to her life being an actress and like trying to claw her way up in the industry. And in that case, she succeeds in the film, right? It's kind of wrapped up at that point.
Yeah, and I guess what's good about it is, now I'm thinking, okay, I need to see the first two films again, because I think when you're watching it as a standalone film, I mean, I think that was Ty's intention, wasn't it? That each of the three films could be seen independently. You didn't need to see the trilogy.
Yeah.
But I suppose, after seeing Maxine, it's kind of made the story fall into place, even though, some people might have wanted it to go off in a different direction. I think it's quite nice because it does make you want to revisit the first two films again.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it also kind of wraps up the trilogy where you kind of can't really see it going into another film. It doesn't really need to at that point, because she had a goal in the first one, and by the third one, she fulfilled it, and she's like, okay,
yeah,
I'm a superstar now, or not
Yeah.
superstar, but I'm an actress trying to become a big deal, and that's kind of what it was from the beginning of the first one. And I'm happy for him to do something different next, do like a completely different story with different people, and which I'm sure he will. I don't think he
Yeah.
wants to keep doing this set of characters over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, why would you? You'd want to do something new and fresh, wouldn't you? I mean, you think about it, he's written this film, he's directed it, produced it, and edited it as well. I mean, it's his machine, isn't it? He's such a talented filmmaker, and I really like his style. I mean, this is a film that looks great. I mean, like I said, it does keep you engaged. There's always something going on. It's very fast paced in a way, because the first film is a lot slower. This one is more action, which is good, because it's something for everyone, I think.
Yeah, and you can think of it, if you're going to be a film nerd, you could think of it as, when you compare a lot of 70s movies with a lot of 80s movies, 70s movies can be very slow and kind of plodding, and 80s movies are a lot more fast music video style editing, where things have to move faster for younger people to like pay attention to it. And I think that really started with the 80s. I think the 80s was the beginning of like fast-paced kind of editing.
Yeah. And I gotta say, Halsey was good as well. I didn't even know she was an actress. She's been in other stuff, right? Did you not think?
I didn't think she was very good.
Did you not? I thought she was good.
Her accent was crazy.
Was it? Not as crazy as
that?
Lily Collins.
Well, maybe it's because Lily Collins is English and you're hearing that, and I'm American and I'm hearing Halsey trying to do like Brooklyn meets Southern meets something. I don't know. She was just like crazy. And I could barely understand what she was saying. She's just like, I'm like, what are you saying, woman? I didn't get it. And I thought her character was going to be a big role in the film, and she was kind of barely in it. She had like one scene, maybe, right?
Yeah, I mean, really short-lived.
It seemed to be her best friend, so I thought they were going to kind of go through this adventure together, and she kind of gets off pretty early in the film. After I just ripped on Halsey, I have to say I really liked her album she did with Nine Inch Nails. Did you ever hear that?
No. Sounds good,
Oh,
though.
she did an album with Trent Reznor.
Right, okay, let's go for a star rating then. Maxine, should we do star ratings for the previous two as well? That might be interesting, see how they compare. So for X, I'm going to go for 4. I mean, it was very nearly 5. Because it creeped me out. It was mysterious. I kept thinking, what the hell is going on? And I love the fact that Mia Goth played 2 characters as well. I thought it was really clever because I had no idea until about halfway through and then realised, oh, okay. But yeah, very, very clever. Pearl, 4, but I kind of prefer it in some ways. But in others, I prefer X because I love the mood. But again, very different films. And Maxine, I'm tempted to go for 3 because it's my least favourite of the 3. But I don't think 3 is enough. So if we were allowed halves, I would go 3.5 for Maxine.
I am a little bit more critical, I think. For X, I would do 3.5 to 4. And for Pearl, I would do 4, definitely. 4, possibly even 4.5. I thought Pearl was excellent.
Yeah.
It's my favorite one of the 3. Maxine, I would do 3.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to.
Yeah.
And so it kind of had a big tinge of disappointment when you look at all 3 of them. So it wasn't bad by any means. Nothing in it was bad. It was just kind of like, oh, I just kind of wanted it to kind of go a little bit more, and it just didn't. I like Ty West's kind of mix of different film, like his kind of mashup of different films that have influenced him. But I think I like Pearl the most, or one of the reasons I like it the most, is that it's his most original kind of story.
Yeah, I think
And
it's
that
an
kind of
all-rounder.
makes me really excited.
It's an all-rounder because I think you have got that menacing theme and you've got the horror and you've got the comedy and it's very technicolor, but I love the style of it. And I think it's more memorable in some ways, but I love the feel of X and how it genuinely freaked me out, whereas the other two didn't at all. I mean, Maxine didn't scare me at all. Pearl didn't scare me. I kind of went along with the ride though. But I think it's probably the strongest out of the 3. But I do love X.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going 3. We're going 3 for Maxine. It's definitely worth seeing. I would say if you haven't seen it, check it out and definitely check out the other 2 because I think you need to see all 3. I mean, you don't. Ty West says you don't need to because they're made to be seen independently. But you can actually watch it in the comfort of your own home. There you go. So you can see it on YouTube, Apple TV and Google Play. I think it costs around 16 quid, which isn't bad.
And I actually think it might be interesting if you've never seen them to watch Pearl first, then X, then Maxine, to do it in chronological order because it might make more sense.
Yes, yeah.
X might make more sense of who these older characters are because you know that from the first film.
It definitely shows the depth of Mia Goth's talents and her acting abilities because she is doing so much in all 3 films. Has she not won any awards?
She hasn't won anything, and I think her star is rising really quickly with this film. I think it was a big kind of splashy kind of film premiere, and I'm hoping she gets the next tier level of kind of acting roles where she works with like really huge directors.
Yeah.
The weird thing is I think she's almost exclusively done horror movies. I don't know if she's done movies that aren't horror. I've never seen her in anything that's not a horror movie.
Yeah,
And I've seen her in like 10 films.
I can't think of any other films that aren't horror that she starred in, so I think you're right. Good to see you, Matt. Anyway, you have some exciting news. Are you able to share? about microfilm, the band you're in?
I don't know when this video is actually going to be released, but today is August 30th, and in a week from today, September 6th, is the release of our new album called Chimeras, and it's streaming everywhere. You can hear it anywhere you listen to music, and if you want to buy it, you can, of course, do that on microfilm.bandcamp.com and check it out. It's a complete dance record. I think almost.
I don't understand.
Whoops.
I think
How
that's
dare you
sold
not
your album.
My phone is trying to sabotage me. Don't listen to it.
That's actually a
it
good
comes
advert
out.
for your album, isn't it? Sorry, I don't understand.
You will understand when you hear the record. It's really fun. So
And you
check
said
it out.
if you want to buy it. I think most people watching would buy it. So go and buy it. Do as you're told.
I think you should buy it. I know some people are resistant to buying albums versus streaming, but you're really helping out independent artists if you
Yeah.
buy the album. So that would
Absolutely.
be really awesome.